Alright, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson. So a few times in the past I've talked about fighters in the microweight division, and a couple times I've done reviews for some of the microweight fights, and I thought, it's a new year, why not do a nice little primer, as it were, on the division, talk about it a little bit and talk about some of the fighters going on within it, and really just get into it a little bit, and maybe try to inform my audience a little bit better about what's going on within that division. As it's a small division, I don't see it growing too much, but it is starting to become a slowly more established division in its limited sort of way, and so I thought it was just something nice little topic to talk about for a little bit. So what is the microweight division? So it's currently contested at 97 pounds. Yes, 97 pounds. Now currently only Deep and Deep Jules have been promoting microweight fights. Now that's technically two different promotions, but they're under the same corporate banner. It's sort of like, let's say if the UFC truly does own Invicta, they're two different promotions, but they're under the same corporate ban. They'd be under the same corporation, which would be like Zuffa and WME. That's just an example. So they're two separate promotions. Deep Jules is the all-women's promotion, whereas Deep has mostly men's fights with some women's fights as well. Now, both are recognizing the division, and each have recently crowned champions within the division. Now, like I said, the division is still small. It could see some growth, but I wouldn't look to see too much growth in it, mainly because it's still in Japan. It hasn't, spread out past Japan, and, it's so small, it is going to be harder to find ladies competing in it, especially outside of Asia. Like, wouldn't expect to see, hardly any non-Asian fighters in it. They just don't grow them that big outside of Asia. Or, yeah, they just tend to grow them bigger, I should say. And then also, a lot of the fighters that I'm going to talk about have fought at atomweight, and a lot of the fighters on this list are probably going to bounce back and forth between microweight and atomweight. So tonight I want to talk about 8 different fighters within the division. 2 of them are going to be the Deep and Deep Jules champion, and the rest are going to be what I will say, the challengers in the division. So first up, let's talk about the champions in the division. Champ is here. Champ is here. All right, first up, Amp the Rocket, better known as, or perhaps properly more known as, Suinam Boonsoren. She is the current Deep Jules at microweight champ, and she is the only non-Japanese fighter on the list, as she is from Thailand. She is 24 years old. She stands 5 feet tall, 150 centimeters, and she currently has a record of 5-3. Now, her last fight, she won via first-round submission over Sato back in February 2020. She holds notable wins over, of course, Sato, who she actually has beaten twice, Loma Lookboonmi, who is now in the UFC, of course, and Yoonha Hong from Korea. Now, Amp the Rocket took part in the 4-women Deep Jules microweight tournament to crown the first champion, and she won her semifinal bout, but then the other semifinalist, Mizuki Furuse, well, I was going to say she eventually had to bow out, which technically she did. What also happened was COVID got in the way, so Amp could not get into Japan from Thailand for a long time, and then Mizuki Furuse ended up getting pregnant and married, so she is not fighting for the next however long that's going to take, and so Deep Jules went ahead and crowned Amp the champion. Next up, the other champion is the Deep champion, Saori Oshima, who is, of course, from Japan. She is 26 years old, stands 4 feet 11 inches, 149 centimeters tall, and she has a record of 3-2. Now, her last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Shiyu Park in the atomweight division this past December. She has notable wins over Sakura Mori, who just recently fought for New Year's Eve in Rizin, and also over Mizuki Oshiro. Now, Oshima beat Oshiro for the deep microweight title, so she is currently the deep microweight champion. So those are the current 2 champions within the division. Now, like I said, the rest of this list, the next 6 fighters, are going to be what I call the challengers, as it were. So first up, we have Mizuki Furuse. Now, Mizuki is 19 years old. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters tall. She currently has an MMA record of 7-7, according to Tapology. Now, obviously, she's been fighting for several years already if she's only 19, but already has a record of 7-7. Now, in her last fight, she took a loss via TKO to Kana Asakura in the super atomweight division in Rizin just this past August. She has notable wins over Yasuko Tamada, Pan Hui, and Nanaka Kawamura. So Furuse was one of 2 semifinalists in the Deep Jewels microweight tournament. She was set to face Amp the Rocket in the finals. COVID hit, the lockdown hit. Amp couldn't make it to Japan, and in that meantime, Furuse got pregnant and got married, so she is currently on inactive status, as it were, but she is expected to come back sometime and is likely going to return and possibly even challenge for the microweight title. Next up are the 2, what I will call the elder stateswomen of the group, because they are definitely the oldest fighters in the division. First up, Satoko Princess Shinashi. She is 43 years old. She stands only 4 feet 10 inches, 147 centimeters tall. She is the shortest fighter in the division. She has a record of 38-4-2, so she is by far the most experienced fighter in the division. Her last fight was a TKO loss to Mizuki Oshiro in December of 2019. She has notable wins over Hisai Watanabe, Marie Kaneko, Emi Sato, and Yeji Lee. Shinashi is sort of like a legend in Japanese mixed martial arts in that she went on like several long unbeaten streaks. Of course, they're kind of tarnished in that most of her wins, I'd say the majority of them, are against fighters with little to no experience. Thing is, she even at microweight, you could say she's undersized. I think if they were to open like a 92-pound division, she would even make it probably with no problem. I don't think she even has to really cut weight to make 97 pounds. She's fought at atom weight multiple times in the past and would come in underweight for atom weight. That's how tiny she is. Now, she has not fought since December 2019. She was supposed to rematch Oshiro and try to gain back that loss, but then COVID hit, and she said that she hasn't been able to train at all, really, since the start of the pandemic. She also has a kid, I believe, so she hasn't been able to train, and she has been on inactive status for a while. Next up, the other elder stateswoman of the group, the division, is Yasuko Tamada. She is 53 years old, so by far the eldest in the division. She stands 5 feet even, 153 centimeters tall. She is the second most experienced fighter in the division. 17-11-3 is her record. Her last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Mizuki Furuse in February of the last year, 2020. Her notable wins include 2 wins over Naoko Omura, a win over Masaki Takamoto, and Masako Yoshida. So Tamada, she actually retired for several years, or like unofficially retired for several years, came back within the last few years and started winning again when Deep Jewels opened up the microweight division. Took a loss in her most recent fight, but she could still likely return. I mean, she didn't look bad in her loss to the much younger Furuse, who is, less than half her age. Next up, we have Mizuki Nisei Oshiro. She is 25 years old. She stands 4 foot 11 inches, 151 centimeters tall, and has a record of 2-2. Her last fight was a submission loss to Saori Oshima in September of last year. Her notable win, well, out of her 2 wins, her notable win is the win over Satoko Shinashi, the legend of the division. When she fought Shinashi in deep, she was not expected to win that fight at all. She came in as a major underdog and just TKO'd Shinashi in, I think, the first round. So it was a shocking win, a shocking upset. Then she fought Saori Oshima for the vacant deep microweight title. Came up short there, but she could still come back and continue to improve. And when Shinashi is ready to come back, that rematch is available for her as well. Next, we have Emi Sato. Emi Sato is one of the more elder stateswomen of the division at 39 years old. She stands 5 feet even, 153 centimeters tall, and currently has a record of 4-5. Her last fight was a submission loss to Suwanon Boonsorn back in February of 2020. She has a notable win over Mizuki Furuse. So Sato is one of those fighters. She came to the sport late. She was already in her 30s. Then had a few fights, took a couple years off, like 2 or 3 years off, and then came back to fighting again. I believe she had a kid was why she took off for a while. But now she's back in and competing. She was in the semifinals of the Deep Jewels microweight tournament, where she lost to Suwanon Boonsorn for the second time. She had previously lost to Boonsorn in an atomweight fight, I believe the year before that. And then the final fighter on this list is going to be Moe Sasaki. I don't have an age for Sasaki. She's one of the shorter fighters on the list, 4 feet 11 inches, 150 centimeters tall. She currently has a record of 2-0. Her last win is a unanimous decision win over Moeri Suda, which came just a couple weeks ago in December of 2020 in an atomweight fight. At 2-0, she doesn't really have any notable wins, however, yet. Sasaki is one of the newer fighters, just, made her debut last year. Looks all right so far from what I've seen. Still early to judge, but, I thought I'd include her on this list being one of the, I believe she's one of the younger fighters, but she's definitely, at 4'11", she is definitely a prime candidate for this division. Okay, so there you have it. Like I said, just a little primer on this division and who the fighters are in it. Now, like I said earlier, do I expect this division to really expand outside of Japan? Not likely. Outside of Asia, almost no. Just no. But it is a neat little division. It's neat to see that, there is something else going on. Besides, outside of the 5, really established women's divisions. PFL has lightweight, and then you go to Japan and they have microweight on the other end of the spectrum. So just thought I'd do a little primer on this division, let everyone know like who's who within it, where they can watch these fights. Deep Jewels, they usually have their fights. They were on YouTube for free for a while. You can watch the replays on YouTube for free. But I believe now they usually have the live events on internet pay-per-view through their own websites. Anyway, that's it for the the microweight division primer. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. Of course, if you liked the video, please give it a like. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.